right, what you see up on the board is a NAEP item. Remember on day one we talked about all the different studies. This is an actual 4th grade item that was on the test. And so what I want you to do is pretend that you're a 4th grader. So you're going to be solving this problem together at a table. But some of you are going to want to automatically go to cross multiplication or something like that. I don't want you to do that. I want you to think of this like a 4th grader would think about it. Think of some of the strategies you would see them using. Would they be drawing pictures? Would they be, I don't know. So just solve this like a 4th grader. Your problem's on the board, and you're trying to find out how many leaves it's going to take to feed 12 caterpillars. But you can't use cross multiplication, okay? You have room in your participant manual to work through it. You can do it by yourself. You can talk it through with somebody else. Let's just take about 2 minutes. I always go to the T-chart. It just makes sense to me. You always go to pictures. It makes sense to you, right?
Because that line means it's and if that's
all about fractions.
I don't know what that is. But that's how much it's this number being divided into this number, and then we're going to flip it on into 6th grade. And should we ever be writing
Proportions
like this?
to look like a fraction. Because it does confuse you. So you're probably going to stick with the T-charts and with the ones or something else. To me, it's just like doing a collision and reading class too. Because they proportions, they really if you're teaching an average, dog is to animal has, canary is to bird. You're focusing on
Yeah. So if we can even get this in math,
All right, as I've walked around, I'm excited to see different forms of this. Those of you that are T-chart people, you went straight to your T-chart, didn't you? Those of you that are picture-minded, you went straight to your pictures. We have one person here says, I don't want to do it to where it's going to confuse the kids and make them think it's a fraction. I'd rather use the colons. We had a good discussion over here about proportions. Someone said, I just want to teach them like we did when we were talking about those ratios. I want to teach them like this, not like this, because in 6th grade they're going to be taught anytime you see this, that's going to mean fraction, that's going to mean divide. And I think some of you had that conversation going when you were doing your speed dating. What we want to do is teach them, and there's nothing wrong with that. We've got to somehow help them figure out whether we're talking about a fraction or a relationship. And when you look at it this way, it reminds me of when I used to teach analogies and reading every day. When you teach analogies, bird is to canary as blank is to lab.
Dog.
What's the answer? Dog, because we're talking about animal classifications and a specific type. So we're forced to focus on the relationship between these words, aren't we? And here we're forced to focus on the relationship between these words. And so here you'd be forced to focus on the relationship between the words. When you look at it this way, a lot of kids are automatically going to think divide, fraction. And so they have to have lots of experiences to know that you're talking about the relationship and not the quantity. Okay, who used the T-chart? When you use your T-chart, were you looking, let's see, so you're finding your patterns. What answer did you come up with? How many leaves will it take to feed 12 caterpillars? About 30. 30, okay. How many of you used a double number line? All right, I saw you doing that, okay. Those of you that use that double number line, you're putting your patterns in and you come up with the same thing, okay? Any other ways other than T-chart, number line, draw pictures? I like that. She used the T-chart version with the actual drawings, like we had our clocks and our lawnmowers, because so many of our kids still need to see that quantity, don't they? I love that. That's how a 4th grader's going to think. I like that. Any other strategies that you'd like to share?
I think you can use that too. If you're talking about the fraction 4/5, if they're struggling with that, what does that mean? Draw 4 things over 5 things, whatever the 4 and the 5 is, leaves and caterpillars. That might help them. That way they're not just focusing on the symbol 4, but the amount of it, the quantity.
Okay. So drawing those symbols may help with those students. Drawing those pictures and those symbols may help with that. That's right. Okay, so helping with that process. We know that strong instruction is going to help these students find the strategies that's going to require the fewest amount of computations. And we know that students with learning disabilities that struggle, if they're offered lots of different strategies and they're able to make the connection between the strategies, that's when it's a win-win situation, and you're going to see an increase in their conceptual understanding. All right, so what do they need opportunities to do? They need opportunities to be able to reason about it, just like this. How did you reason through that? They need opportunities to find unit rates, giving them situations. I have 6 books. They cost $3. How much is one book going to cost? Having them find that unit rate with a functional relationship. Now, giving them opportunities to construct equivalent ratios, not equivalent fractions. It's totally different. You all are developing proportions and ratios on your desk with your pattern blocks. Our students need the opportunity to be able to do that too. And they also need to know how that's different if you're talking about it as a fraction. And then being able to link all those things and connect them. All right, so let's look at our number wheel here. Let's think about cross multiplication, because I know that when students are thinking, anytime they see anything that looks like this, they automatically think it's a fraction. And once they get to a certain step, once they've been taught cross multiplication, they want to solve every problem that way, don't they? Have you seen it? 6th grade teachers, do you see it? They want to use cross multiplication for everything. So when you think about our number sense wheel, which one of these is going to explain why cross multiplication works? Because that's where we're going to go. Why does it work? Quantity and magnitude, cross multiplication. Are we really focusing on the quantity of things when we're doing that? Numeration, equality. Equality is it, okay? Because what they're doing is they're crossing it over to find equality. So we're focusing on that equality piece. When students are cross multiplying, that's what they do. Okay, so with our story that was not a fraction, we had 1 long to 2 hours. And if we're looking at proportions, we say that 2 longs would be 4 hours. If we wanted to look at that in digital format, this is what it's going to look like. 1 long, 2 hours, 2 longs, 4 hours. Okay? What does cross multiplication mean for those of you that have never? What is that? What do you do when you cross multiply? You take, if this is a fraction, the numerator of this one times the denominator of this one. The numerator of this one times the denominator of this one. And we're supposed to cross multiply when we're doing what? Maybe comparing fractions. Okay, so that's what cross multiplication looks like. Now let's go back to our long story. If I've got 2 different days, I have 2 different situations in which I have mowed for 8 hours. My question is, would the number of lawns be equal? And how many lawns would I have mowed? So 2 different situations, and I've mowed for 8 hours. How many lawns would I mow? Going back to the sand story. How many lawns would you mow if it took you 8 hours to mow? 4. Okay. Would I have 4 on one day and 4 on the other day? It would be equal, okay? All right, so when we're cross multiplying, instead of finding a common denominator, I know when we think about fractions, we're starting to cross over fractions, proportions. Let's look at this. Our first number up here represents longs to hours, longs to hours. If I want to find a common quantity, I want to find what it's going to look like if I have mowed 8 hours, okay? So this is what I would do. In order to get 8 hours to match my story, I'm going to have to take this one and multiply it by this one. And I'm going to have to take this one and multiply it by what? This one. And when I do that, what do I have? A common, is it a denominator? No, a common quantity. Right now we're talking about proportions. It's not a fraction. We are trying to find a common quantity of 8 hours. So if I do that, I can multiply this by this and this by this. Now, when we think about proportions and we want to maintain a relationship, if I want to maintain the relationship, just like when I was turning my paper, I maintained that relationship. What would I have to do to my lawns to maintain the relationship of what I'm doing? I've multiplied the number of hours by 4. Okay, say that again for everybody to hear you. She says multiply the number of lawns by 4 to maintain that relationship to keep it proportional. So that's what I would do on this side. What about the other side? Multiply the number of longs by 2 to maintain that relationship. Okay, because I want this 8-hour common quantity. So when I do that, it looks like this, right? So maintaining that multiplicative relationship by multiplying the longs by the same factors. So now we have a common quantity. So we have 1 long, 2 hours, 2 longs, 4 hours, 3 longs, 6 hours. So there we have how many hours on this side? 8. And I'm trying to maintain a common quantity, and I need 8 hours over here. So now I've maintained that, and I have a common quantity. I don't have a common denominator. We're not talking about fractions. Okay? This is a common denominator. You have an actual quantity on a number line. It's magnitude. It's an actual value of something. Okay? When we do this, what's our common denominator? Well, we see that we've taken each of those and divided them into 6, so our common denominator there is 6. It's 2 totally different things. One is with proportions, one is with fractions. Okay? So we want to give our kids problems that encourage that proportion sense. All right, I think in your books on slide 10 you have this. This is an example of a problem that's going to encourage that. There are lots of ways we could solve this. You can do it by yourself. You can do it at your tables. And then I'm going to have a couple of you come up and share your strategies. Read through this proportion problem and solve it, trying to figure out how long it's going to take him to drive 40 additional miles. John drove 60 miles in 2 hours. If he continues to drive at this rate, how long will it take him to drive 40 additional miles? You solve it however you want to solve it. Get to a friendlier number. It's like it's not always this beautiful little picture perfect problem, is it? Do not cross multiply. Oh no, I know you were.
With 30 minutes, that'd be an hour.
I wonder if they would use the word additional.
Traveling 30 miles in an hour.
I do think it's one.
And then you have 40 miles, you gotta go 10 more miles, so that'll be an hour and 10 minutes. Wouldn't it? 1 hour would be 30 miles. 2 hours, 60 miles. 3 hours would be 90 miles. 4 hours.
You just want 40 dishes.
But you just want the 40 dishes.
This is a tough problem.
An hour 3 or an hour 10.
Yes.
20 minutes.
So then 60 miles is 2 hours. 1 hour is 30 miles. And 2 hours is 60 miles. And 3 hours is 90 miles. And then 4 hours is 120 miles. So you only went 100.
I can also read it. It's not going
Does anybody want to volunteer to go up and draw their strategy on the board? Because I think there's lots of great strategies already.
Two-thirds of one-third.
I do think that someone pointed out this the question itself could be a little misleading. Most of us, y'all figured out that 40 additional miles means we're trying to find out 100 miles, right? We're not trying to figure out just 40 miles. The fact that they use the word additional, I think means they want to know how long it's going to take to drive 100 miles. So,
100 miles. But the additional,
It's not hard to
I think we're going to have two different answers depending on how you read that. I read it as how much for 100 miles. Did anybody else read it that way?
first I did.
No? Okay. So if you didn't read it that way and you're just looking for 40 miles. 40 beyond that. So if you did it that way, you're going to get one answer. If you're looking at just 40, you're going to have a different answer.
Then it would be 3 hours.
How can that be worded so that it's not confusing?
Because sure enough,
Because 3 hours is 90.
That's exactly what's going to happen in our
it's
classrooms.
going to have both of those answers.
And both of those answers are going to be on your ESG. That's exactly.
That would be a video drive.
This is why my
Not because that's really, because we've never not as many. Because we've already tried.
You've already tried this.
4 hours.
And you know that it's 2 hours for that.
2 hours for that amount of time.
Or for that amount of distance, it said how long will it take to drive, an additional.
And additional, so
If
just
it
that
says it
40.
continues at this rate,
That automatically takes away the first one.
How long will it take you to drive it 40 additional miles? So it says,
It keeps that.
Would it be 3 hours?
then you've already driven it, not 2 hours, so now how much
So now how much for
longer is it
40
gonna take you?
more? So how many of you looked at it as 100? I think there were about 5. That's how I looked at it first time, because I was starting to freak out thinking everybody's got a different answer than me. But, okay, so most people looked at it as that 40. Okay, can we make sense of his double number line here? We've got the car and the time. I thought that was an L. I was confused. Okay, so the time. So with his double number line, he's showing a relationship between the two. Is that what he's doing? So he's at in between 3. Why are you between 3 and 3.5?
Pardon?
Explain to us what you've done here. Why did you choose this point right here?
Well, I knew it was less than 105, but it was only, there's 15 in between, right?
15 what?
There's 15 minutes, or no, 15 miles between 90 and 105.
Okay, so there's
All right,
15
and I gotta
miles
get-
between here.
Yeah, and I've got to divide it by thirds.
Why?
That's the relationship.
Because of the relationship.
Because
So,
of the relationship.
so I've got the 15 there.
The relationship meaning the relationship between what and what?
Yeah, I could write 3 and 1/3, but which would have been a closer approximation. But 2 1/3. Yeah. So anyway, so it's 100, and then 15 in between, 5 off,
Uh-huh.
and then in my brain I just went to that relationship. But I can't.
We're ciphering this.
oh my God,
3 hours.
Yeah.
3 hours.
Because I said 60 to her. And it might be 60 miles, I mean 40 miles.
Did you do it? Did you do it initially for the 100 miles, and then you take off the 2
Correct.
hours?
Correct.
Okay. So initially, he did it thinking 100 miles, and then he took the 2 hours off to figure the difference between the 2 with the 40 minutes, right?
Because that's what the question asked for was the difference.
Okay. All right. Who has this answer or can follow this tracking? Does anybody have a different idea or a different display? And then we'll talk about it. Who has something different? Okay. Do you want to draw it or do you just tell it? Okay, go ahead.
We just lined up our ratios at 60. Well, we were thinking, we didn't do the whole total.
Okay.
We looked at 60 miles in 2 hours. So we tried to figure out how many miles for one, and then how many miles for 30, and so it ended up being it's an hour and 20 extra minutes. Which I see where the third comes in, because 20 minutes is a third of an hour. Which is that third of an hour.
Okay, can you stop right there for just a second?
Yeah.
She said we ended up realizing that it was an hour and 20 minutes extra on top of the 2
On
hours.
top of the 2 hours.
Anybody else able to get to that point?
Yeah.
An hour and 20 minutes extra.
Under the 30, we
And then the
had.
30 we broke it to 15.
They took that and broke it down, and I saw lots of people doing that.
Yeah, we
They
broke
broke
it
that
down.
down into 15.
It's 30 minutes.
Okay. So you went from hours to minutes. So here's hours, okay?
And then 10 minutes would equal 20 minutes.
What relationship led you there? Times 2, times 2?
Yeah, if you change that hour to 60 minutes.
You change the hour to 60 minutes,
And if you change the 2 hours to 120 minutes.
okay? We want to keep our labels consistent, okay? So you're looking for the relationship. Are you looking for a scalar relationship or a functional relationship, or does it matter?
I would say functional.
If you look at it functionally, what's your relationship? Times 2.
It's all gonna be times 2, so it is functional.
So our unit rate is times 2, so it's functional, okay? All right? Okay, now thank you. Now keep going.
So we took our 40 minutes, which is a 30-minute plus a 10-minute.
Okay, so our task is to find that 40 minutes, which is the 30 minutes plus the 10 minutes.
Yeah.
Okay, so they're decomposing here. 40 is the 30 plus the 10, which would be our 60 plus our 20, which is 80 minutes. So was that your total answer? Did anybody get 80 minutes? Okay, see, all right, so if you ended up getting 3 hours and 20 minutes, you were looking at this problem for the total. But if you're just looking at that additional 40, then you're getting 80 minutes, okay?
And what I did for the hour and 20 is I did 60 plus 30 plus the 20 and decomposed it that way and added it together.
Okay, so we're going all the way back to second grade with those numbers, aren't we? All right, did anybody use a different strategy?
I got 199 minutes and 30 seconds.
199 minutes what?
And 30 seconds.
And 30 seconds. Ooh, what was,
I broke it down. 2 hours is 2 hours was 120 minutes,
okay, let's see if we can problem solve here. 120 minutes,
which was 60 miles.
60 miles, okay?
And then 1 hour is 60 minutes, which was 30 miles. And then quarter of an hour, which is 15 minutes, ended up being 7.5 miles.
Oh, I think I see it. Does anybody see a break in the consistency here? Minutes, miles, minutes, miles, minutes, miles.
I got that too, but if you look at 10 minutes, it equals, if you keep going proportionally, I understand she halved and halved and halved, but then you have that proportion of 60 to 30, so that you know that every 10 minutes equals
1/6 of that,
Yeah.
which is 5 miles per 10 minutes. And so if I'm going to do 40,
times 8 or times 4 times, and then add those together.
then add them together. All right. Wow. I saw something, I don't think I saw it in here, but how could, I saw something where you could solve this using a clock, like a circular,
30 minutes.
I don't know that I really want to. You think about a clock, I don't know that I really want to go there, but
So she did.
let me see, I did it on the back.
60 at the top.
So if this is 60 miles, and that 60 miles took me 2 hours, proportionally, I could break it down and say 30 miles is going to be my time of what? 1 hour. And my hour can be broken down, we know that an hour, or I could say 60 minutes. And I need increments of how many minutes? Could I do 20 minutes, 40 minutes, or 40, 60, 20 minutes, 40 minutes? No, that'd be 60. 10 miles for every, oh, now I'm confusing myself.
10 minutes for 5 miles.
10 minutes,
5 miles.
5 miles. And so if you're going around and you add them up, you'd end up, you could be going around 5, 10, 15, 20, and then that's it. You think kids would do that? No, I don't either. It's just okay. Is everybody okay with this? That's a tough problem. All right, we're just at the end here. I'm going to show you a few situations where we have these coffee carafes, and I'm going to tell you which carafe has the stronger coffee in it. And so you're going to, and then we're going to make a change to it. So you're going to decide which carafe is going to have stronger coffee after we make changes, okay? And so your checks for understanding are my way to see where you are. We're going to do bunny rabbit ears. If you think the answer is A, just put a 1 on your head. If you think the answer is B, put a 2 on your head. Okay, so we're trying to determine which one's going to have stronger coffee after we make a change. You can't do that. All right. Carafe A, right now, you see how much water's in there, okay? The volume is less than carafe B. Carafe B, okay, this carafe has weaker coffee than this carafe, okay? I'm going to take instant coffee and I'm going to put 1 spoonful in this one, and then I'm going to add a cup of water to this one. My question is, which one is going to have the stronger coffee? Don't put your answers up yet.
Wait a minute.
I'm sorry, which craft? Which craft will have the stronger coffee? Don't put your answer up yet. Right now, this is weaker than this. And the change is I'm going to add a spoonful of coffee here, and I'm going to add another cup here of water. So I'm adding more water to this, adding more coffee to this. So which one is going to be stronger? On the count of 3, put your answer up. 1, 2, 3. Okay, you think most kids are going to get this? I'm making my strong, you're right, the answer is A. I'm making my strong coffee even stronger. I'm making my weak coffee even weaker by adding the water, right? I'm not dealing with numbers. I'm not giving them relationships. I'm exposing them to a problem that's going to help them build that proportion. All right, here's the next one. Carafe A and Carafe B contain coffee that tastes the same. I'm going to add 1 spoon of instant coffee to A. I'm going to add 1 spoon of instant coffee to B. The question is, which one is going to have the stronger coffee? All right, is everybody ready to show your answers? 1, 2, 3. It's B. It's B. Why is B going to be stronger?
Yeah, but if it's
It has less water, so it's more concentrated, right? Okay, here's another one. Carafe A contains weaker coffee than Carafe B. Add 1 spoon of instant coffee to A and Carafe B. Which one's going to have the stronger coffee? Okay, 1, 2, 3. Throw your answers up. B. Can you hear your kids arguing with you about these? Oh, goodness. So B is going to be stronger because A was already weaker to begin with, right? All right, last one. Carafe B contains the stronger coffee. You're going to add 1 spoon of instant coffee to A, and you're going to add a cup of water to B. Which one's going to be stronger?
Not enough data.
All right, on the count of 3, put your answers up. 1, 2, 3.
Not enough data.
What's wrong? You seem confused.
Not enough information.
There's not enough information. We can't say A or B. What do we need to know? How much stronger it is? Okay. So this is an example of the type of problem where we can help build that proportional reasoning. All right, so giving them non-numeric quantities will help strengthen that, okay? Any questions? All right, are we ready? Are you going to try that?